Hello you little crafting cuties and welcome to my channel, Fixin to Hillbilly. Today I'm going to show you my 3 favorite fall wreaths from last year. So let's get started. First of all, we're going to start off with our Scarecrow wreath from last year. This was one of my favorites. I didn't use a face, it was just using a hat, but it all pulled together. And the pants I actually got from my little granddaughter. Now we're going to be using 3 different kinds of ribbon. You're going to need 9 pieces of each one, cut at 12 inches, and dovetail the ends. You'll need 9 of those, 9 of those, and 9 of these. Now this ribbon I got from different places. Some I've got at Hobby Lobby, I think the orange, and then the other I got from Amazon. So you can look in the different places. Usually Amazon has 4 rolls pretty cheap. Now I'm going to be using 3 different kinds of Deco mesh. The beige, we're going to be cutting at 17 inches. You're going to need 18 of those. And then we're going to be using 3 different colors. You don't have to use these colors. You can put in burgundy or anything that looks fall to you that might look good. Now these are going to be 10 inches. And you're going to need 6 of each one. Now as you see here, I've already got my pipe cleaners on my frame. You've got 2 on A and B row. It goes from outside to inside, A, B, C, and D. So you've got 2 on A and B, and then 1 on C and D. And this is in every section. So that gives you a total of 18 pipe cleaners. Now, we're going to start with the brown Deco mesh, and it's going to be 17 inches. So we're going to fold up the ends and walk up the middle. Now, I'm going to hold all these pieces in my bow maker. That way I don't have to hold them in my hand. Then you're going to roll a tube. Let's start with the first one. We're going to do orange. So then we're going to do beige and another color. Then you're going to put 1 ribbon in there. So with the orange, I decided to do the ribbon with the scarecrows on it. So I folded it in the middle to get a center, and then I put that in there. Now I'm going to pull all that out, and then I'm going to attach it to the frame. So you're just going to put it in there and give it a twist. You've already got everything you need in there. So once you give it a couple twists, you can do a couple things. You can cut that pipe cleaner, or you can wrap it around a pencil and have another texture in there, which is usually what I do with the sparkly kind. Now, we're going to roll the ends, starting with the beige again, walk up the middle, and roll the other end. And that's just a ruffle. A rolled ruffle is what I call it. I think it's called something else, but I don't know. But it has your rolls and the ruffle in it. Now we're going to take a green one. We're just going to roll it into a tube. And put that in there. I like this because this is really good to hold it. A subscriber of mine, I think her name was Barbara, a real sweet lady, said that I could use the Bodabra to hold them. I don't have a Bodabra, so I used the next best thing, which it works perfect. And I love it. So thank you, Miss Barbara. Okay, so then we're taking the second one, and then we're just going to put it in and give it a couple twists. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing beige in every pipe cleaner, but then we're going to be rotating the orange, the green, and the gold, and the ribbons. So with this one, we did the check ribbon with the green. So once you see the green again, you'll know that the check ribbon goes with that. That way everything's rotated. And I'm just fluffing. You can wait till the end, but I usually mess with it as I go. That's just my thing. Okay, and now we're going to take another beige piece. And we're going to roll up the ends, walk up the middle, and roll the other end. Now, if you're a beginner, if you're rolling that in, just go ahead and clip that in and flip it around and roll it up and walk up the middle. It's easier, but after you've been doing it for a while, you can do it this way. But I must say, when I use the clips, it's easier because it holds those rolls intact. And then you're going to take the gold and just roll it in a tube. And then you're going to take the third color ribbon, which I've chose the orange for that one. You're going to put that on top. Now I'm going to do the whole outside of this wreath, and then I'm going to do the inside, rotating every time. So usually what I do, let's say there's orange and green over there, so of course I'm going to put gold at the top of that one, so it's all dispersed evenly. So in the meantime, you're going to go orange, green, and then gold. And you're going to go completely around, and then you're going to do the inside till it's completed. Now once it's done, as you see, my colors are all dispersed evenly. It's, everything looks really nice. All the colors are showing. And now I'm going to make a bow. So first of all, I just put it in my bow maker. And then I just pull a tail down. You're going to have to flip it to the not so pretty side. And then pull it through. Okay. Then flip it to the not so pretty side. And pull it through. And I'm taking those hoops out about 6 inches on each side. I usually start at 6 and then I work my way down a little bit, maybe 5. Sometimes I go down to 4.5. Okay, and then I'm just going to cut that off, and then I'm going to put my second ribbon right on top of there. Now this ribbon right here I got from the Dollar Tree. I usually, when I'm doing my bows, I like to use a more expensive ribbon and then use my cheaper ribbon as a filler so it all blends together but doesn't look cheap. So I take it through, turn it to the not so pretty side, and run it back through again. And then I just make another cut. And now I'm going to use this is an extra piece of ribbon I got. If you have rolls of ribbon with just a piece here and there, you can do that. You can put it through, do one tail, whatever. Just, use it as a filler. Just give it a little bit more character. So usually when I get down to at the end of my fall supplies and I'm trying to get rid of some little pieces, I'll just put a piece here and there just to, as a filler. And it's usually a ribbon that I have inside the wreath, so, it all pulls together. And then I've got this other here. This I really liked. It was kind of a dull looking ribbon, but it had the prettiest patterns on it. This one had leaves on it. So you run it through, put it to the not so pretty side, and run it through again. The ribbon itself was kind of dull looking, but the print was so nice and so vibrant, it really made it pop. So then I just spread those out, so that way every ribbon makes an appearance. And there you go, we're just grabbing another piece of ribbon and putting that in there. Now these are just little extra pieces of ribbon I have laying around, and I don't want to be putting, have those all over the house or all over my office, which is where I do my crafting. So I don't want a piece here and a piece there. So I try to work it in to the wreath somewhere, somehow. And it's usually easier to do it in the bow. And this bow, this particular bow, is actually not going on the wreath. It's going on the hat. So usually I have an extra pipe cleaner or zip tie on the back to attach it to the frame. But we're not going to be doing that because I am actually going to attach this to the hat. Now, you're probably wondering how I got the hat attached to the frame. What I did is I actually took a pair of scissors and cut a little hole under where I put the ribbon, and I put a zip tie there, and then I hot glued the other end. Which, this is a fall wreath, and unless you're sending it to Florida, I don't really like to put hot glue outside because you never know, it might melt. So you could even put another zip tie at the top and cover it with a leaf or a flower or something. So then after I attached the bow to the hat, I put a flower in the center of that, and that just covered the zip tie that I had on it. And then I just attached it to the wreath. I just put it towards the top and zip tied it in. It was real simple. So you just lay it there and zip tied it in, and then I put another zip tie on the other end. So you see what I'm saying there? When you can cover it with something, I chose to cover it with a ribbon. That way I could put 2 zip ties on it, but it was covered. Now I got these little pants. They were my great-granddaughter's, and my daughter was going to put it in a yard sale, and so I bought it from the yard sale. So you can find cute little pants from yard sales that are baby pants, and you know, it's much cheaper than going to the store and buying them. All you gotta do is wash them up. Now, I use this raffia for under my patches and coming out the feet. And someone told me that if you put a rubber band around it, it don't go every which way, because mine was going every which way. As soon as you cut it off the end, forget about it. It's everywhere. So put a rubber band, like right there where my hand is would be a good place. Put a rubber band and then cut a little bit out to put under the patches. Then you don't have to worry about losing it or it coming out of the patch or whatnot. Now as you see, I cut a little patch out of that ribbon. You just cut the wire off the sides and that's it. Now here's the problem. When you go to cut that, boy, that just scattered. But had I put a rubber band around it, it would have stayed nice and intact. And then you don't have to worry about it coming out from under that patch either, because I'm going to put it in a couple of different places on the pants for decoration. So after I get done picking up that mess, I'm going to hot glue that raffia on the back of that bow, or that piece of material now. It's not really a bow anymore. Now these little pink things I got on my finger, you can get those at the dollar store. It seems like I got 6 of them for $1.25. They were like super cheap. But let me tell you something, when you're working with hot glue, it sure does save your fingers. Because nobody wants to burn your fingers, especially on that stuff. I've done it several times, and I'll tell you what, it hurts a little bit. And anybody that's touched it, you know what I'm saying. You learn to speak about 5 different languages in 3 seconds. Okay, and then, like, I also took a little bit of that glue and I put around the edges because I didn't want to lose my raffia out there. But let me tell you, just put a rubber band around it. That was the smartest thing that lady told me. I was like, why? You know, that's the thing, though, when you're doing, you know, stuff on YouTube, it's best if people comment. It doesn't bother me a bit because, you know, y'all teach me how to do things a little bit easier, and I'm all about easier. Y'all know that. If you've watched my channel at all, you know that I'm all about easier. Now, I had a slew of Walmart bags. I think all of us have a bunch of Walmart bags. So instead of buying stuffing, because this was actually, I made it for my sister. Then I made it, I also made one for myself. So I use, Walmart bags. You can use stuffing if you want to, but this was just as good, and it padded it, and it was a lot easier and a lot cheaper than padding. And I liked it because it was a little bit squishy, and when you touched it, because Scarecrow don't, it's not completely firm. It does make noise because it's got straw in there. So I thought that made it a little bit more realistic. And I just stuffed the pants full. And then I'm going to deal with this mess again. Now, it was bad enough I didn't learn the first time. Oh, looks like I got smart on that video. Turned it around. Look at me. It's been a long time since I did this video, so I don't remember doing that, but it looks like I wised up a little bit. But had I had a rubber band around there, it would have been a lot easier to put it in the feet. So what I did was I just put it in the feet and hot glued it in. I put some hot glue on the end of it, and then I tied it with a bow just to give it a little bit more character. So what I did with that bow, because of course it was too big, I folded it in half. Well, it looks like I pulled it back out and folded it over about 3 times, which was better because then you couldn't see the seams, which was better. Now, I thought I put hot glue on that, but it doesn't look like I did. It looks like I held it with the ribbon. But had had some tape on there. I mean, not tape, but the rubber band on there, and then put it up there and tied it. But it stayed good because I tied that bow good and tight. And then I dovetailed the ends on. I cut the bows off a little bit so they weren't too wild. But definitely make sure you put a rubber band or something around to hold that stuff because it just went everywhere. Now, if you see on there on this leg where that patch is, now that glue bleeded through a little bit. So what I did is I put something over that. Now here's what we're doing. We're putting 2 zip ties to the belt loops, and then I'm going to attach it to the bottom, the very bottom of the frame. And I'm just going to put 2 zip ties on there, and it will hold. You just pull it as tight as you can. And then I just cut off the zip ties. This was really an easy wreath to do, and it turned out really nice. I had everybody wanting to buy that wreath. And then where I had a little spot of glue, you see, I went and put me a little flower there, and nobody's ever the wiser. Now, definitely pull out your Deco mesh over top of the pants, just like that. But I did go back and glue the top of the pants so I didn't lose my Walmart bags. And I also put me some flowers on the ribbons on the legs. Well, here's my end result. And I really like this wreath because you made a scarecrow without even needing a face, and I thought that was good. Now, the next wreath is a 14-inch fall wreath, and it's going to have a sign. And we're going to do 4 different colors on this wreath. Now, it doesn't look like I showed all my stuff there. Now this time we're going to do orange. We're going to use as the ruffle. So if we're doing orange as the ruffle, you're definitely going to need 18 of those. So you're going to walk that up the middle, fold one end, walk up the middle, fold the other end. Now I think this was before I started using my bow maker. So it was a little harder, but I think I used clips on this if I remember right. Yeah, I did, to hold it all together. And you can do that. Now, those clips, those little pink clips, I also got at the Dollar Tree. And I don't know how many's in there. I know at least 6, probably more. And it was $1.25. Now, I was going to try something different, and I was like, no, you know what? I don't want to do that because it's too long. What I was going to do is fold it in half and then walk up the other way with it. But I just didn't want to do that. So I put a round gold piece of mesh on there. And then this particular ribbon I got at the Dollar Tree last year. So if you go over there and check out what they got, I mean, they've got some really pretty ribbon. But I couldn't find any more of it. I found that roll, maybe 2 rolls of that. And then after that, I didn't see any more, so I figured they sold out that pretty quick because that don't look cheap. Okay, so I'm going to be putting that on A and B, and as you know, from outside to inside, we go A, B, C, D on those wires. So we're going to be putting 2 on A and B, and 1 on C and D, and that's in every section. So we're going to be using orange as our base. So you're definitely going to need 18 of those. And 6 of the other colors. And they're going to be cutting 10 inches. So if you're using 3 different colors, you've got 18 slots. So you're going to need 6 of those. And I like adding a little bit of burgundy to mine now, just to give it a little bit of something else. Because sometimes when you add these colors, I think it does look nice, but it just is missing something. So then I clip that together, and then I'm going to grab my next color, which is beige. And that's 10 inches. Remember, you're going to need 6 of those. But you can pick any colors you want. You might want to use, I don't know, you might want to use the beige as your base. And any of the other colors. Or you might want to use a completely different color. But just remember, there's 18 spaces you've got to fill. So if you're using 2 colors, you're going to have to do your base will be cutting 17 inches. You'll need 8 of those. And if you're doing just beige with it, then you'll need 18 of those as well. But those will be cutting 10 inches. So that's how that works. Now, I'm going to go on and do A and B again. Well, maybe not. Okay. I don't know what I was thinking. So what you do is you're going to rotate going all the way around. Okay. We're going to go gold, and then we're going to go beige, and then we're going to go green, using orange in every one. And you'll be rotating all the way around the wreath. And I usually take it around the outside first, and then I go on to the inside. That way every color makes an appearance. And it's evenly dispersed. Now on these frames, they're 14-inch frames, but you should know that after you get it done, it's going to be about 20, I think most of mine are about 22, 23 inches around with your Deco mesh on there. So even though you're using a 14-inch frame, it's not going to be 14 inches. And then I usually just go ahead and cut these off the back. Then that way they don't get in the way, these zip ties. And you can use, I like using zip ties. It has pros and cons. It's sometimes a little tedious getting on because you got to hold the stuff in your hand and then zip tie it on. But it hold, you know, you don't have to worry like with the pipe cleaners, someone twisting it and it coming undone. But these will hold. And the ones I made for last year, mine I used on my door again this year because it was still in good shape, as long as you pack it in a box. And the ones that I'll be selling on Etsy this year will be packed in a box that you can actually pack it back in for next year. Now, all my wreaths are going to come with the box, of course, because I'm going to be shipping it in that. But I'm also putting a hanger in there so you can put it on your door. Because there ain't nothing worse than getting a wreath in the mail and you realize you don't have a hanger for it. I hate that. So I've decided that when I do mine for Etsy, I am going to be including the hanger with it. That way you don't have to be looking for one. Now in this piece, I did a piece of orange and then we're doing a piece of green. Now if you notice, the collars are different, but I only used 2 bows. So you're going to go, as far as your deco mesh, orange and beige, orange and gold, orange and green. But then your ribbons, you're going to rotate back and forth. You see I used the check ribbon in this one. Then you're just going to tighten that down. And then you're going to flip it around to the back once you tighten it down. Now you don't have to cut these zip ties off as you go. I do, just to keep them out of my way. You can absolutely wait till the very end and go through and clip them all off. But I just like to keep it looking uniformed all the way around so I can see what's going on. Plus, I don't want to miss one at the end. Okay, and then there's my full wreath. And I go through, and usually if I have any string sticking out from ravel or anything like that, I just go ahead and clip those off. Now there is, I think I mentioned this in another video, there's a spray, a glue spray that you can buy to spray over those. It holds everything in place. It's just an Elmer spray, but I thought it was a little bit tacky even after it dried. So I only used that on one of my wreaths. I didn't really like it too much. Okay, so here I'm starting my bow. Looks like I just have a little bit of this, so I'm just going to go through, take it through. You run the tail and take it through and twist it to the not so pretty side. And then you're going to take it back through again to make your bow, the hoop. And then it doesn't look like there's too much left on that to make another hoop. Now those hoops come out about 6 inches. Sometimes what I do, I'll have them all 6 inches, or sometimes I'll do like 6 inches, then 5 inches, then 4.5. And I always dovetail my ends, and I'll tell you why. It just looks, you know, more professional. It looks a little bit more high-end when you do that. So now here I'm taking this other ribbon, this pumpkin ribbon. I'm taking it through, push it down. Now you see what I'm doing here. I run the tail, and then I took it through, and now I'm making my hoop. Took it out at 6 inches. Flip it to the not so pretty side, and the reason you're doing that is because when it comes back, see, the pretty side is showing. And I just cut that off. I had quite a bit of that. I don't know why I didn't make 2 of those. Now I have seen bows made with one tail, like they go through and make all kinds of different hoops and just have a tail. And I was like, well, that looks cute too. I might go try to learn how to make one of those. I seen it on a video, and I don't even remember where I seen it, so I'm really going to have to look for it. But those bows turned out really cute. And it's just like taking a bunch of hoops and just different ones. And then the tails, if I remember right, you got one hoop and two tails. That's what it is. But that looked really nice. So I think I am going to try to learn that for us, and then I can teach y'all how to do it. Well, we'll be learning together because you know me, I'll just come on here and start making it. Now this, the reason I'm doing it this way is because I want my trucks turned upside right. And sometimes when you do that, it doesn't work out. The trucks are upside down. I don't like that. So then what I'm doing for my hoops, looks like a, hang on, I think I'm going a little bit, yeah, I pulled that out a little bit more. Because you want, I think on this one, my hoops are probably going to be about 5 inches on each side. So what I did was I just folded it over, okay, and then you're just going to keep folding it over until you get how many ever hoops you want. And you just cut the end off. And you just put it in the bow maker. You hold it in your hand, whatever you're doing. And see, that way, all your trucks are upside right instead of upside down. So when it's hanging on your door, I don't know, just little details like that, I like. I like the trucks facing the right way. And so everything looks super cute. Okay, and then I've got another. Now these, I think, I don't remember where I got this one. That doesn't really look like Dollar Tree material, does it? I think those come in a pack. Usually, if they're not silky, I'm sure I got the checks from there. Now this check print, I know where I got that. I got that from Hobby Lobby. Because there was quite a bit on there. And I've used some of that on this year's a sign I made. But I had a lot of that. I don't know how many yards was on there. But there were several on there for $9.99. And then I got 40% off or something like that. I can't remember. It's been a while. That was last year. But this is just giving you some ideas. I mean, these are some of my favorite last year's videos. But you can absolutely use the method that I'm doing. And I don't know if you can still get the signs. But I've been going lately to Craft Outlet to get my signs and stuff. Because I just think they're better quality. They're thicker. And they're just nicer signs. And you're going to give $1.25 for it at the Dollar Tree. And some of my signs from Craft Outlet, I give $3.75. But I'd rather pay for that than, you know, and get the quality. Now, some of them I did pay $5.50 for. Like I got this one I did of a Christmas house, and it was $5.50. But, you know, I didn't mind paying it because, first of all, the sign was bigger, and it really, really popped on the wreath. Now, here I am putting down an extra zip tie. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because that's what's going to attach to the actual wreath. But then I use another zip tie to hold it all together. And then I just tighten that down. And then I cut off that extra so that way it doesn't get in my way later and I don't grab the wrong one and try to attach it. Okay, so now I'm just going to attach it to my wreath form. And I'm just going to put those zip ties through the mesh into the back. You might have to spread your mesh out a little bit so you can see what you're doing. And then once I get it through there, then I'm just going to flip it over. See how I did that? Real simple. And then I just take both ends and then zip tie that. Now you got to remember, the tighter you pull this bow, the deeper it's going to sink into your wreath. So if you want it setting more high up, then you're not going to pull it so tight. And then I usually just start fluffing the bow, just fluffing everything out, making it look nice. Now, I didn't show what I did at the back of the sign. I actually took a zip tie and used a staple gun. Don't do that. These Dollar General stores are signs are very thin, and the staple might come through and your customer might get cut on that little staple coming out of there because they're pretty sharp, or even you. So I started using a pipe cleaner and a piece of material to hold it on with hot glue. It works just as good. And then you're going to just fluff, 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 and there you go. There's your end result. Now, as you can see, that's much larger than 14 inches. That's about 23 inches, I think this one come out to be. All right. And then for our next wreath is another 14-inch frame. Not a 14-inch wreath, because that wreath come out to be about 22 inches, if I remember right. It could have been 22 and a half. But let's get started. So what we've got here is I'm using 2 different kinds of ribbon. Now this is Dollar Tree ribbon. And I really like this ribbon. It doesn't look cheap. And it's got some really nice color in it. Now this tool, now remember we went through this before. When you use that tool, it's got that little white stuff on it. Now when you have that little white stuff on it, what happens is when you cut that stuff, it comes off and it's everywhere. So, you know, that's just something you got to deal with. But it's only when you cut it. Don't seem to fall off, you know, once you get it on your wreaths and stuff. Now this is the base. We're going to do the ruffle, roll, and ruffle. And that is 17 inches long. This is 10 inches, okay? Now I'm going to use 3 different colors, gold, green, and beige. All of those are going to be cut in 10 inches. It's 10 inches wide. And you're going to need 6 of each one of those because we are going to have 18 bundles. And of course, you're also going to need the frame. Now, we're going to start with this orange here. We're going to roll up the end. And then I want to show you how to clip it. This will make it a little bit easier on you, especially if you're a new crafter. So you're just going to clip that end to hold it down. Then you're going to go and roll up the other end. And then you're just going to walk it up the middle. Then when you reach the clip, I just clip it all together. Unless I'm using my bow maker to hold it. But in this particular one, I think this might have been before I started using the bow maker to hold those, which is much easier, by the way. And then you're just going to roll the tube. So I went back and re-rolled that. And then I'm showing you put the seam on the bottom, because that's where your fray is going to be. And the less fray that's exposed, the better. Okay. And then just clip that together. And then we're going to pick out one piece of the tool. And that tool is cut in 10-inch pieces. And if I remember right, you get just enough tool in one roll. And I think I only put this in every other one, maybe. And then I walk that up the middle. And it just give it just a little something else. This is why I like using pipe cleaners right here, because trying to hold everything together and then get it in the zip tie sometimes is tedious. It is for me. My hands don't want to hold things like I used to. Now these are going to be going on A and B. You're going to have 2 on A and B. A and B, A and B, C and D. My rings go A, B, C, D from the outside to the inside. So this bundle is going to be going on A and B. And see here what I'm talking about. You have to move everything out of the way, trying to get it in there, and sometimes it's hard to hold it, and sometimes some of the stuff does start falling out. And look, one piece got a little bit longer on the other side, so then you have to go back. Sometimes this just isn't the easiest way. Okay? But the advantage is it will hold. You don't have to worry about it coming undone. It ain't going nowhere. Okay, and then just give it a nice tug. And then these ribbons, what I do is just pull towards the outside. The reason being, when you get to the top row and you pull those all out to the side, you're going to be able to see everything. Sometimes I use 2 ribbons in it. Sometimes I use 1. I like using 1 and just rotating it every time, because sometimes when you use 2, I mean, just for me personally, things cross over. Like one bundle, the ribbons cross over to the other. So you really, it looks just to me like a kajumbled mess. In some, not all of them. If that happens, you just need to cut your ribbons shorter. Now these ribbons are cut in 12 inches. Now after you dovetail them, they're probably going to be about, I don't know, maybe 10.5 to 10 inches, depending how much you cut off. Now we're starting with the next orange piece. Those are cut in 17 inches. Roll the end. Then clip it. You don't have to clip it. I'm just showing you how to do this to make it easier for yourself, especially if you're new. And then roll the other end and walk it up the middle. There you go. And then just clip the end. Now, then you're going to roll a beige one and put in there. Because remember, we're alternating those. Green, beige, and then gold. But orange goes in every bundle. Then we're going to pick the different ribbon, because we only have 2 ribbons. So you're going to have 3 different meshes, but only 2 ribbons. So ribbons are going to be rotated back and forth. Plus, it gives it a little bit different character. Now in this one, as you see, I'm not putting the tulle, because the tulle only goes in every other one. Because it's just giving a little bit burgundy pop in there. But a couple of wreaths that I did later on in the year, I put burgundy mesh in there and it looked real nice. Just to give it a little bit of something extra. And everything that you add to that is going to add another dimension to it. So anything extra you add is going to look great. But make it your own. I'm just giving you a template of what you could do, but definitely make it your own. You can use the same colors if you want, but if not, use your own colors. Now we're rolling this up on the end. And then we're putting a clip on it. Then we're rolling up this end, just a couple rolls, that's fine. That's just to get the fray underneath. It's easier actually when you use a clip because it holds better. And then you put a clip on everything to hold it. Now we're going to use our third color, which is gold. Just roll it in a tube, nothing fancy. And then just hook that. Now what this is doing is just giving it a little bit more texture. So it's also going to hide that frame too. Now you're going to grab another piece of tulle, because remember that goes in every other one, and you're just going to start at the end and walk it up. Nothing fancy. This doesn't have a lot of fray, so you don't have to worry about folding those ends under. Just kind of make it like a little bow tie, and then grab your bow. Now I usually fold these in the center and I pinch them a little bit, only so I can get the center. So when I put it on the wreath, I know that it's centered. For me personally, I just don't want one of the tails longer than the other, because in the end, when you get finished, if you've got one tail long and one tail short and all that, it's not going to look right when you go to hang it on the wall. It's not going to be because you're going to have things sticking out. That's not going to look right. Now just attach that bundle. Then you're just going to zip tie it, get it good and tight, and then cut it off. Now this is how we're going to do this all the way around. Orange in every bundle. You're going to go beige, green, and gold. Tulle goes in every other bundle, and the ribbons get rotated. And that's going to be all the way around the outside, and then you're also going to do the same on the inside. Now once the wreath is finished, you have a nice full wreath, and you're ready to do the ribbon. So this is the ribbon I've chosen for this one. We're going to use the two ribbons that's actually in the wreath, and then I'm going to add that orange one as some extra. Now I went ahead and put my zip tie on the bottom, because that's got to go in there too. So you just put your tail down, and then you run it through the center there. And then you're going to make your hoop, which is going to be about, I think this one I made about 5.5 inches. Then you're going to twist it to the not so pretty side. And you're going to take the ribbon back through. And then just push it down. Okay, and then just pull it down. You can do a couple loops on each side. This is, I think, actually when I first started making my wreaths, and I've learned a lot watching a lot of different people. And you know, that's what you need to do, is watch, you know, of course I would love for you to watch my videos too, but watch other people too, because I mean everybody has a different technique, and you know, it might be something that, you know, is easier for you. And you know me, I'm all about whatever's easy. So you're going to put that through. Actually, I don't think this has a not so pretty side, but I go ahead and twist it anyway to keep everything, you know, nice and tight. Okay, and then I just twist it around. And this one I actually did 2 hoops on each side, or loops rather. And I take it through. And then I twist it around again. And then I run it through again. And then just push it down. When I push it down like that, I'm just making it nice and tight. So it's holding everything together. And just pull it down. You can dovetail the ends later. Now, I'm going to use the truck one. Now remember, when I use truck ribbon, I always cut a piece off for the tail, and then I roll the other so all the trucks are facing upwards. You don't have to do it that way. That's just my own personal preference. And then I'm going to measure that out, because remember, if you measure it out and you have, you know, a 10-inch loop there, it's only going to be 5 inches on both sides. So make it long enough so when you drop it down in the middle, you got plenty of room. Okay, and then just fold it over. Looks like I only come out maybe about 5 inches on that. That ribbon's going to be a little bit smaller for the middle. Seeing it now, seeing me do it, because it was last year, I would definitely go a little bit bigger. And then I just made an extra tail there. It ain't gonna hurt a darn thing to have an extra tail hanging down. Okay. Alright. And then I got all the trucks facing upward. Now remember, if you have any little pieces here and there of ribbon that's got, you know, just a few inches on the roll, maybe it's only got about 12 inches on the roll, and you know that's not going to be enough to do a full ribbon or a bow or a wreath or whatever, just dovetail it and put it in there. And that way you get rid of it, it's used, and it adds a little bit something else to your wreath. I know I haven't played no music in this video, but I was trying to do a little bit more in-depth tutorial with you all instead of playing music. Normally I tell you how to do it and then we play music and do that, which is fine, but in this one I wanted to go over a few things a little to make sure that you fully understood what we're doing. And we didn't go all the way around when I did the wreaths. I did the first few, and then I took a break in the middle there and went ahead and started it once it was finished. Now, as you see, there's already a zip tie in there, but I'm going to put another zip tie on it to hold everything together. And then just fluff it out. I usually fluff it a little bit here, and then once I put it on the wreath, I'm going to fluff it a little bit more. So here I am, just putting it on the wreath now. Now remember, just run it through. I don't think you can see that very well. I'm sorry about that. But what you're going to do is you're going to put those two ends of that zip tie, just work it down in there. Somewhere, anywhere. You might have to move things around a little bit. That's okay. You can move it back. But just work it down in there, and then once you finally get it down in there, then you can flip it over and hook it up. And usually what I do is just go back, and after I attach the bow, go ahead and fluff it a little bit more. It ain't gonna hurt a darn thing. Now, once again, this sign, I did use a staple gun to put through it. You can probably actually get away with it with this particular sign because it has a truck on it. If you put it right there where that truck is, that's a little bit thicker, so it's not going to come all the way through. So what I do is just put a zip tie on the back, and then take a staple gun and just give it a couple pops on there. It'll stay on there nice and tight. But if it's just a single layer sign, I wouldn't do it because it comes through, and it's just very slight that it comes through, but just enough to cut somebody or a little kid or something. You don't want nobody getting hurt on your stuff. So always make sure everything's safe, everything's trimmed up. You don't have any pipe cleaners sticking out to cut anybody. None of that. Make sure all of it's folded over and nice. And then after I get the sign on, then what I'm going to do is, now I'll pull this sign down a little bit tighter because I want it down a little bit, and then I'm going to pull my deco mesh up around it. Now I attached that sign. It had a little piece of jute twine across the top. I went ahead and attached it with that at the top, and then I attached the bottom with that zip tie. Now where that jute twine is coming out the top, you could always put a little flower there, or a leaf, or even a piece of ribbon. I think in this one I put a little piece of the ribbon overlay on it, and then just put a little hot glue on it. It's just that simple. Now here's what you end up with at the very end. And I want to thank y'all for being here with me today to see my 3 favorite wreaths from last fall. And I will be making some more wreaths for you for this fall. Now I will put the full tutorials of each of these wreaths in the description below. And remember, you were born to do great things. So stay strong in the Lord, never give up hope, and always take time to pray. It's so important. Alright, that's my video for today. I want to thank you. See you next time. Bye.